All right, we are live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 361. Tonight, I am joined with Jared Schneiderman.
Hello.
Returning in a long time. It's a long time. Kyle Wagner.
Hey, everybody.
Cool. And
Welcome
special
back.
guest, Dave Casey of Dave vs. Goliath. I always want to say David vs. Goliath, but
Sure.
it's Dave vs. Goliath.
Yeah, boy.
So first time to the podcast. So welcome aboard.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'm good.
Sure.
I'm glad to pop your Punk Rock Libertarians cherry.
Yeah, man. It's an honor to be here.
I'd say you're probably the second most famous person in Delaware at this point.
Me and George Thorogood.
I was thinking Biden.
I guess, yeah, we can throw him in there. Jesus, that sucks. What a legacy.
Joe Flacco too.
Oh yeah, Joe Flacco, failed quarterback.
Very failed.
I mean, he did get a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it's whatever. That's debatable. All right, well,
Is it? Okay.
not
Moving
really,
on.
but
Moving on
whatever.
to real topics.
I'll be like Alex and be like, I digress.
Yeah. And then keep digressing.
Yeah. Dude, it was so funny. We were at the bar last night, and Alex Tiara's sitting there, like, just with her arms folded, like, hearing him talk, and she's talking to Christina next to me, and she's just like, he's gonna go off and like tell you 5 different stories before he gets his point out. And Alex is literally just sitting there, like, yelling at me. And of course, he goes into other talk. She's like, "Honey, you're digressing again." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's right." And he starts going off about shit. It was pretty fun. We'll talk a little bit more. Maybe if we have time, we'll talk about the shenanigans that went down last night. It was pretty fun. But we got a lot to talk about tonight. Starters, shit, man. The United States has a terrible pullout game. Just a terrible pullout game. Cabal has fallen. I don't know if you guys seen the videos of the pictures of shit of the Taliban like took over the city, and they have literally taken the most stockpile weapons, and I'm so jealous. They got like $1 million drones that they're finding in like just random doors and shit. Like, oh, what's behind this door? Oh, look at this, a tank.
I don't know why we left all that stuff there.
Was the idea to prop up whatever puppet government they were trying to install?
It's all by design.
Maybe.
The president just left, right? The president, he peaced out. He's like,
yeah.
That's amazing.
I was just reading an article about it, and they said that the American military experts thought that they might be pressuring the Capitol within like a month, and it took like 1 week to take over the whole country. I mean, I'm very confused because somebody was telling me at an LP meeting, they were like, oh, it's not actually happening the way they're saying. We're leaving a military presence there, even though we're claiming that we're not. And I was like, I don't know. It seems like we're not, right? You know, they just kind of swooped in. Didn't take very long. Does anybody?
They don't even look exhausted or tired. They all look very chill. All the pictures.
They were eating milk and cookies in the president's office. Just all the Taliban, and I'm like, this is what an insurrection is, not what happened.
I was gonna say, this sounds
January
like
6th.
Right.
This is what an insurrection looks like, you fucking loser, left, stupid Democrats in the Washington Post comment section that I'm always getting into fights in. Like, that's what an insurrection looks like. Sorry. I hate to burst everyone's bubble, but that's a real insurrection.
Is it the Facebook page of the Washington Post that you go to, or is it actually the real Washington Post website?
No. This is their Facebook page, and I'm always sliding in the.
He actually goes down to the Washington Post office and just starts screaming at the editors,
shaking my fist.
I just comment on local news. I don't know why.
Oh, I do that too.
Those are the threads that get me in the most trouble, like finding Karens from across the land that are just going hard on the back stuff and hard on everything else. I'm currently serving a 30-day ban for typing the initials GFY. You can't do that on Facebook anymore. You can't type the initials because we're 7 years old.
You can't say "good for you."
Good for you, lady. Seriously.
That's not fair.
Yeah, they're not having it.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, they took over, and I did see the meme. They were like showing the helicopter with the I don't know what that kind of helicopter is called, the transport, where they're evacuating the embassy, and they had it like transposed next to a similar helicopter from when we left Vietnam, and the Viet Cong
Apparently,
swept in.
from what I heard and what I saw people talking about, if anyone has evidence to the contrary, I don't know if I can believe this or not, but people are saying it was literally the same helicopter that flew off from Saigon. It was the same helicopter that flew off from Kabul.
That seems a little hard to believe. It's possible,
me too. But I saw people.
How like the exact same one or the same model?
Same one.
That doesn't make. How is that even possible?
I don't know. I just saw it like right before we came on here. I was just like, this can't be true.
It sounds like an internet rumor.
Identical, but it looks identical.
Yeah, somebody probably said
model.
It looks like the same thing.
I see a lot of cars that look like my car on the road.
Right,
you know?
but either way, don't you think for aesthetic reasons they'd be like, hey, let's just send like a Black Hawk or an Apache or something. Like, just let's not do the bad thing. Like, let's not do the same picture thing. But they want it that way, I guess. That's what they wanted.
I doubt it.
Maybe they're showing that they can keep getting away with this, and it doesn't matter.
No,
you know,
no. This is not a good thing. It's a disgrace. Right, it's sort of like a failure, but I think Justin Amash made a post that was right. It was spot on. He was like, it wouldn't have mattered if we did this 15 years ago or 15 years later. The outcome was going to be the same no matter when we do this.
Yeah.
It's just it's their country. They're the Pashtun tribe or the Pashtuns.
But wait, didn't John McCain say we had to stay there for 100 years? Maybe that's where we went wrong.
They should have followed John McCain's advice.
Jared, that was just his tumor talking. Okay.
Right. He was really a peaceful man at heart.
Well,
tumor.
It's funny how often this kind of stuff comes up, like even in conversations with like normal friends that aren't even political. I'm on the boat yesterday with my buddies, and the one guy's like, well, war is really good for the economy.
Wow.
And I was like, no, it's not. I'm going.
You on a boat with Frederick Keynes or whatever?
No, they're non-political friends, but we're talking about.
That's what they're taught in school. You're taught in school that one of the benefits of war, of the World War II, is that it brought us out of Great Depression. Blah blah blah. You learn that in school.
You do,
yeah. And I go back to like Hazlitt's book, Economics in One Lesson, which I think is probably one of the best guidebooks for the most basic fallacies that we still make. Every single fallacy in that book, people still believe every one of them today. And I don't know, it's a great reference for me. I started rereading it this week because I just needed a refresher on some things. But I love that book, man.
Was it prepping for this podcast?
No, it was just I forget what I was trying to read about. I forget if it was like automation or what it was at the time, but it popped in my head when my friend was like, oh yeah, war is really good for the economy. And I was like, no, you're losing all the economic production of those soldiers. They're not producing. If they were working, they'd be getting paid and giving us something, but to just sit over there and just guard Afghanistan is not generating.
Not to mention
benefit.
all the raw materials that go into producing weapons and tanks and bombs, and then the bombs destroy more.
It benefits the military contractors. There's people that definitely are getting rich off of it, but the overall society is paying for that and not getting really anything of value in return. It's a cost. It's a burden. That's why the economy is so much better when World War II ended and all those troops came home and got jobs.
Funny. That's not what we hear in the history books.
No, it was like 46 to 50 when it was really doing well, right?
Yeah, that's what happens when you kill like hundreds of thousands of men, and it's like, wow, we had all these extra jobs open.
Maybe, I don't know, Phil. Jeez.
Well, it's also the same way too. When the start of the war, they're like, "Oh, hey, we're drafting all of you." So all these people who didn't have jobs, you're all being drafted. So you all have a job. So wow, unemployment 0. Matt, how does that work? I don't know.
Big bump.
God, it's just so fucked up.
Yeah,
stupid economic fallacies you're spit at from these people who don't know what the hell they're talking about.
So what do you guys think Biden's gonna do now that I guess Kabul has fallen.
Man, I don't know. It looks like for the past couple of days, it looks to me like they're trying to frame it like, well, again, like you just didn't stay long enough. You didn't spend enough money. You didn't send enough troops, and look what you did. You're a failure now. You're weak. Just like they always do. If you pull back a little bit, it's like the first time I've seen the press or anybody criticize Biden so far. So that's very telling.
And you know what's hilarious is Max Boot, he's a former neocon. He writes also for the Washington Post. He's like a huge neocon, totally pushed the whole Iraq war. Like, I mean, he was George Bush's butt buddy. Like those guys, he was a major player in that spreading that propaganda for, the Iraq war. And he's in the past few years, he's done the switch. Like, oh, I'm now woke. I now like, oh, my whiteness, I need to shut up and listen. And so now he's a completely like on the Democrat, like he's just a complete Democrat, like fraud. And every single time he makes it. So speaking of Washington Post comment section, anytime he makes a post, I was like, Max Boot is a neocon trash. And people are always like reacting and like, what? No, he's good, blah, blah, blah. And well, now he came out with an opinion piece today saying this disaster is all on Joe Biden for pulling out. And I'm like, oh, the neocon shows himself after all these years. He's been trying to play it like he's this leftist, and you're not. I saw through you, stupid fraud.
Yeah.
There was no exit strategy. There's clearly no exit strategy. You can't. I mean, the only way that government that we installed was going to stay in place is if we stay there forever. The big mistake was to invade in the first place. My buddy's like, well, we had to get Bin Laden, and I was like, all right, well, you could have sent special forces in and got them, and not set up a permanent occupation, and not tried to set up a puppet government and do all this crap.
I think they needed a money laundering scheme for 20 years to opium production went up 90% within 2 years. Where do you think that went? That went to AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna. They got that. And whatever you can't trade. I mean, what's the CIA trading? Drugs, drug money.
Yeah, I get that there's a case for that. I mean, and maybe that's what's happening behind the scenes, is it's motivated by opioids. I mean, I don't think that they don't have much oil, do they? I know they have minerals.
No, soldiers were like that we've had on this podcast come in and say, yeah, dude, like I know people, or I was a part, people like patrolling and guarding the poppy fields.
Yeah, so it was about the opium. I guess.
I think there's a lot of different things going on.
Yeah,
I mean, there were the actual like neocons that legitimately believe that like, the U.S. has to be a global empire and blah blah blah. Not that it's justified, obviously, but and then you have the opportunists, you have the military-industrial complex entities, you have the stuff, the opium trade. Why are you laughing,
dude? Your voice, you just sounds like you're going through puberty. It's like, as you're talking, I'm like, it's like your voice went down like a whole octave or whatever.
Maybe this is my voice now.
Partied hard this weekend.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Jared was partying hard. Lots of cocaine and strippers and stuff. He was telling us before.
Cigars. Are you drinking scotch yet, Jared?
I am out of scotch.
But you are because a lot of cigar guys, it's cigars and scotch.
Now I'm more into bourbon and rye.
Yeah, bourbon and rye is good.
I've actually been getting more into rye as of late, but
rye's good. I heard people say shit on rye, but dude, bourbon's good. I like rye.
Dude, rye, the Sycamore, what is it called? Sycamore, whatever. The one out of Baltimore, the distillery out of Baltimore, dude. Their rye that they have is so good. It's like $60 for like a fifth, but like it's fucking, it's great. Anyways. I did.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean.
That's why Jared
just interrupted.
I think there's a lot of different things going on that are keeping people in, or that kept the Afghanistan war going on. It wasn't just like, oh, it's just like the opium trade or AstraZeneca. It's a bunch of stuff going on. But
yeah, I mean, think about it. There's like a whole new, like I would say like untapped, adrenochrome market over there, like spicy adrenochrome.
Yeah,
it just the politicians, they needed to get their fix, man. Just, reptilians, they need that.
So we left, as you were saying earlier, we left a bunch of tanks, and I saw the tanks, some of the tanks, rockets, drones. We left a bunch of equipment there for the Afghan puppet government that we set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're now getting a hold of, right? So all the, however much we spent on all that stuff, it's just now it's like, here's some free weaponry for you guys.
It was like $88 billion we've spent over the past 20 years for this purpose, and it's literally fallen in the hands of the people we were trying to fight against. It's ridiculous to think that I think that the Taliban now has more Black Hawk helicopters than any other country besides the United States.
Yeah,
right now, because of that.
And the neocons are going to go, oh, you know whose fault all this is? It's you anti-war folks who wanted to pull out of there. It's all your fault. You know, it's like, you freaking morons. You know, this is entirely your fault. We said don't go in the first place. You did. We said don't stay there. You did. I don't know that we said don't leave all your weaponry there, but I mean, I would have said that, you know.
What has Ron Paul been saying all these years? You march right in, you can march right out.
Yeah, but you got to bring your stuff with you. You got to bring all those weapons with you. You don't leave all the weaponry, you know, all the tanks and stuff.
Take your stuff, man.
Was there any nuclear related materials? Any yellow cake left behind?
Well, let's hope not. I mean, gosh.
Man.
Wouldn't that be hilarious though if like this whole thing was about, you know, Saddam Hussein's WMDs that he didn't have, and then it turns out we just like ended up giving them WMDs.
We just armed Afghanistan, armed the Taliban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How ironic would that be?
I mean, outside of Afghanistan, are they like a threat to the United States? You know, are they terrorists, or maybe they just sort of shelter or support terrorists, but they're not actually terrorists themselves? I don't know.
I mean, these were the guys who tried to tell us where Bin Laden was in 2000, 2001. This is not Al Qaeda. These are the goat fuckers. And they're hiding everywhere, and they're not going anywhere. These are the same guys that beat the Russians in the 80s. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think that from the pictures I've seen, they're backwoods. I heard lots of them have never even heard of 9/11.
Wow.
Like, that's where they're living. You know what I mean? So yeah, they'll probably do this for another 100 years, man. I don't know.
That's Christ.
It actually gives me some confidence that, like, you know, oh yeah, like Biden said, like, you'd need F-15s and all, you know, all this shit to take on the government. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe some mountains and some cover, you know, would be all right.
They call it the graveyard of empires. You know, like every country that goes in there and tries to take over, they can't deal with these people because they're so battle hardened, and they live in these caves. They can't find them. Yeah, you know,
or they still know how to have fun. They're fucking riding around on bumper cars. Hey, we've taken it.
They remind me of just like the Tusken Raiders from Star Wars. You know, they just like pop out and just like murder whoever happens to be like around, and then they just like go back and chill.
Back into the mountains.
That's also my Chewbacca impersonation too.
I was gonna say that was pretty
it's the same time. Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's good though.
Oh man, but it's so sad. It's so sad.
We just needed 6 more months, guys.
I know.
6 more months, 100 more years.
So I think this. Okay, so there was a report Friday, I think, where it was saying that Biden was sending 3,000 more troops to Afghanistan to help get the other troops out. Whatever sense that makes, if you follow that logic. Good for you.
Diplomats.
Yeah.
Diplomats.
So I think that mission might be off right now. Possibly. I don't know, man.
He's like, just tell me what you want me to do. Tell me what you want me to do. I'll fucking do it.
Yeah. This is Meat Puppet Joe. So he's being told something, you know, and he has to. You know, what do I do? I smell cinnamon rolls.
He sounds terrible when I hear him speak. He sounds like he's, you know, on his deathbed just about. His voice doesn't sound good. So I don't know who's really running things, but I don't think it's him.
I think he's having the final say, and he's doing that old man thing where he's just like, no, put my foot down.
Maybe.
We got all the generals are like, come on, please, like, let us stay and fight. And he's like, no, I'm not doing it. No. So it's cool that he did it. Like, I'm glad he did it. It was going to be a clusterfuck no matter who was doing it. I'm actually kind of glad Biden did it because he's not going because the withdrawal is not going to have the backlash it would have had if, say, Trump had did this or someone on the right, because they have more influence, the left liberals, in society.
Well, yeah, he could do anything, whatever he wants, right?
Yeah,
he's their guy, and they are half of society at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the media is not going to do anything against him. They're not saying anything negative against him. He has a very favorable media. I mean, they've shown, like, compared headlines of the same policy. When Trump did it, they lost their minds, and when Biden does the same thing, it's like this real soft language, like praising whatever he did, and it's the same policy.
It's blatant. Yeah.
It's
really crazy to watch.
Dude, it just never ends, man. I honestly, there's a part of me that thinks we could be back there in a few years, if not have some care. Well, I mean, of course, we're going to be carrying out CIA missions the entire time there. The CIA needs to drop its troops down and his agents to do shit.
Not if the LP takes the White House in 24.
This is true. Dave Smith, 2024. He will not be sending.
Yeah, I wanted to hear. You brought Dave on, but do you want to give him an opportunity to give his tell us about himself or his business?
Yeah, Dave. People might not know of you, and they've been on Mars with their eyes closed and their fingers in their ears in a cave. So, for all those handful of people who might not know who you are, you might want to go ahead and tell the good people.
Sure. I'm Dave. I run a podcast called Dave versus Goliath. I started that at the beginning of this year because all this COVID shit got me riled up. Again, I thought that 9/11 was going to be our big event for my life. And I was really kind of greedily hoping that would be it. But no, we got this COVID shit. So that made me really want to kind of communicate with our people and keep the lines of communication open. In addition to that, I'm a member of the Mises Caucus. I've been there since day one with Mike Heiss. That's my boy. So yeah, I'm trying to do some cool shit between now and 2024 with those guys. I was just elected to as chairman of the Newcastle County Libertarian Party, so I'm working pretty hard with those guys. And I'm a local business owner here at my business is called Wheelie's Farm Stand Cafe. We started making our own CBD products, boom, under Wheelie's Pharmacy. And that's been really great, man. I had Jo Jorgensen come last year. We hosted her. That was her campaign spot. And this year we had Spike come out. He was there with Anthony Samaroff. We brunched and had a great time. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to really tie in my business with my passion and my activism. And we did Liberty Speaks earlier this year. I got to meet Otto there for the first time.
Yeah.
That was great. So we're going to do that. I think that's going to be an annual thing. So that's pretty much it, man. I'm really just trying to get involved. And I'm a little bit worried, to be perfectly honest with you guys, with what's going on, like with the mandates and, I mean, the shutdowns. I own a cafe. So kind of a one-man operation, but I feel like it's probably only a matter of time before they're like, anyone who touches food gets the jab. Mm-hmm. So I'm really trying to kind of branch out and try, other things.
Well, you're not essential, so they'd shut you down first because you're not.
Fuck, dude. You know what's ironic too? Like Dave versus Goliath is like my moniker. I've had that email since for like 10 years, and I just ran with it this past year. But my business is right across the street from the first Amazon building. That's where he had his first warehouse. So like I stare at his thing every day. Yeah, it's pretty funny because just this old shack where I bust out waffles and bacon and eggs and coffee and lemonades and things for people. I got hammocks set up for people to just lounge and get on the Wi-Fi and kick it. And it's, I love it, but I feel like my time is limited because I don't know, man. I just looking around. Yeah, they don't want the little guy here, man. McDonald's is right up the street. Chick-fil-A, all those guys are thriving. Dunkin' Donuts, all this shit. Yeah, they don't want small businesses doing anything.
That sucks, man. That sucks. You have to feel that way. It's not even because like market forces. It's just government forces.
Yeah,
all right,
and those that the Health and Human Services Department in every state is always the biggest bureaucracy. They control everything. So like all the licensing laws for everything from healthcare to food service and health and beauty and everything. They don't have to vote on shit. They're just like, oh, now you have to do this, So yeah, it's terrifying, man. I only started in 2017, and it's been like the hardest 4 or 5 years of my life, and I was trying to go legit and like do everything cool and do my own thing for once, and yeah, just a couple years in, they were like, go fuck yourself. So yeah, man, just branching out, and yeah, that's kind of why the CBD thing came. I started a couple years ago. I started noticing all these businesses going out of business. It's like lots of like adult bookstores and adult DVD stores and stuff. I would see like CBD now serving CBD, and I was like, these guys are not going anywhere. They're going to keep their business, like no matter what. And I was like, I mean, I know a lot about cannabis and hemp, and I work on a farm, and that's probably a no-brainer. I got my own, I did my design myself and just did my own shit, man. It's a really beautiful product. So yeah, enter you guys. Appreciate the sponsorship.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can make some moves together. I think that's really great.
Is it pharmacy with a PH?
No.
Pharmacy with an F.
I love that. I love the pharmacy at the F. That's cool.
All right.
So the website is wheeliespharmacy.com. You can go on there. We're going to get you guys a nice promo code so you can give your peeps a little discount and a little kickback towards your podcast. So we'll get that going real soon.
Is CBD legal everywhere? I don't know.
100% legal in all 50 states as of the 2019 Farm Bill. Trump did that one. We'll give him
wow. That was in the Farm Bill.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, right on. But, I remember there was all kinds of crap in there. You were like, at least that's sort of food related, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
But that's how they do these mega bills. They put, all kinds of stuff in there.
I mean, look what just passed in, this week, with the infrastructure bill.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it 3.5 trillion? Did I get the number right?
Yeah.
It's 3.5
Does
trillion.
it even matter? What's the difference between 3 trillion, 4 trillion, 3 billion? It's all the same to me, man.
I remember it seems like just yesteryear they were going for like 900 billion because they didn't want to say that hard T.
Yeah.
Like just go as close as you can without hitting that. And they're another like $5 trillion. Like,
As long as it has transgender education for 3-year-olds, I'm cool with it.
Right.
So. I went to an LP meeting last week, and we were kind of talking about different things, and I was kind of trying to make the point, like this COVID restrictions, vaccine requirements and mask requirements. That's like the liberty issue of our day. And I haven't really got the sense, and maybe I'm totally off base on this, but the LP is maybe even united on that. I think there might be some division within the LP, and there might be some people that support, that actually support some of these ideas, especially some of our more left-leaning libertarians that support these kinds of things. But it seems like a great issue, right? Vaccine passport, restricting your travel, requiring you to wear a mask outside, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Dude, I pushed, our former disgraced chair. I have to specify now because there's a few of them. Joe Bishop Henchman. No, Joe Bishop Henchman. From what I was told, so whatever, take it for a grain of salt. Karen Ann was hinting at this for a while, and then she kind of dropped his name when it was finally the person. But she said that he is for forced vaccinations.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow, that's pretty awful. That's a horrible libertarian position. It's a horrible position in general. Forcing people to inject things in their body. I thought we were all my body, my choice. Now it's right. No. It's just
Libertarian Party Anti-Consent Caucus. Go fuck yourself, bro.
Wait, who was this again, Otto?
Joe Bishop Henchman, the most recent chair of the party, according to Karen Ann. He was. She's been talking about that for a while, but she's like, I'm not saying the name. She's like, but we have people on there, prominent people. One person in particular who was for forced vaccinations, and I assumed she was talking about something completely different. But so when she came out and dropped him, I was like, oh shit, are you serious? It's him? Like, wow, that's something we should have known, But in our state, at our state convention, I put forth a anti-vaccine passport. This was back in April. It was an anti-vaccine passport resolution, and it passed. But we had this old guy stand up and he said, "Well, it's the commons, and in the commons, we need to know if you're healthy, and so that's why vaccine passports are it's a positive libertarian." And I'm like, what? Like, no.
What old guy was it? Was it just a member, like a regular member, or was he in the
old
leadership?
member. He was a member. Yeah, he was on the I think he was on the central committee. I don't know. I've only seen him one time, so that just goes to show.
It seems like a good issue, a good liberty issue, but like I said, it has actually divided libertarians to some extent because, I mean, they're looking at it going, well, we got to stop the disease, I guess. I don't know, but I certainly oppose it. I don't agree with forcing people to get this vaccine or requiring papers. Show your papers. I mean, it's terrifying.
Have you seen that French? Have you seen what's going on? Like those videos that were coming out of Paris, where people are sitting down at a cafe and the police are like coming up to them saying, like, just waving, saying, "Show me your paper." Like, oh, that was so creepy. Like,
wow.
I mean, that was just an awful aesthetic. Whether or not you think it's like the most abhorrent thing in the world, or whether you think it's like, oh, it's not that big of a liberty issue, like this scumbag who went on MSNBC from the Cato Institute and said, libertarians are for vaccine mandates and mask mandates and all this stuff. Like, he went on there and told them that, so it gave MSNBC their headline of "Even libertarians are for vaccine passports." Shit.
Oh, I saw that, the Cato guy.
Yeah, that
I
asshole.
forget his name.
He voted for Biden, too. Go figure.
Yeah, you gotta love that organization, right? Jeez.
Right. And it's just like, dude, fuck you. Like, just fuck you, man. Like, I don't even know what else to say. That just like, this is why, like, what I know people are probably sick of hearing me talk about Mises Caucus all the time, but this is why I want the radical message to, like, the Radical Caucus and the Mises Caucus. Like, this is why we're letting these people speak for the libertarian as a whole. And so, like, even now I'm in comment sections doing my fighting with these people online, and they're like, because of course they'll go to my page looking for dirt, and they're like, "Oh, it's a libertarian. Aren't you guys even for?" I was like some guy even said, he was like, "Aren't you guys for this type of thing? Like, I heard you guys were for this," and I don't know if he was referring to that.
That shit holds a lot of weight, dude. That's why they invited on Nick. They still invite Nick Sarwark on that channel. They'll have John Brennan on to do that shit. That channel is complete spook central. I mean, let's be honest. So when they bring a guy on like that to say that from the Beltway, that is very purposefully done to keep that narrative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it said literally the headline was "The Libertarian Case for like Mandatory Vaccines" or something like that.
Whatever. It was just not representative of us as a party as a
not
whole,
at all.
or is a movement, like not even the party, but like as a movement, because it just drives me crazy. You get people in the party that are actively like they're using property rights to like self-defeat themselves. They're like, well, nope, it's private property, so they can do whatever they want. If they want to lead me off in a rail car, as long as it has Amazon on the side of it, it's fine because it's a private business if they wanted to load us on there. But if it was a government rail car, that would be a problem.
Well, I know somebody that was vaccinated that recently got COVID. And I mean, this thing is not 100% effective, and then they'll spin it. They'll be like, oh, well, it wasn't as bad because he had the vaccine first, and then I saw the best meme about it, right? It wasn't even a meme. It was a real headline, but it was like the guy died. He was vaccinated and he died from COVID. And then in the sub headline, it's like, doctors said it could have been worse or something like that.
Because you know why?
If he hadn't been vaccinated, it would have been worse.
They went back and edited it, but that's clearly a message that they are being told. You have to include this when you're talking about someone dying from or someone who has COVID, who got the vaccine, like a breakthrough case or whatever. You have to include the tagline. It would have been worse if he didn't have the vaccine. So it was almost like a muscle memory. Like they just copied and pasted it and didn't realize, oh shit, this guy died from it. Like it was, and so they went back and took that out. But you clearly see that in every article. And I have a family member who had COVID really bad, and they were hospitalized. They actually had to get like special medicine and stuff. And like I don't know if he was on a ventilator, but I know he's close to it. But he was in the hospital for like a week or two, I think. And the doctors actually told him he got it last year, and they told him, you should not get the vaccine. we're medically advising you from not getting the vaccine because you had such a bad reaction to COVID.
Wow.
So don't get it. He went ahead and got it anyway. He had to be hospitalized again.
Wow.
Jeez.
I just found that out today, and I was furious.
That's kind of the moral of the story here. Like, just listen to your fucking doctor.
Right.
I thought this, and this
At least
is,
in that case.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have a good doctor.
the vaccines are not, from what I've heard, they're not. It's not a weakened strand of the virus. It's actually something that I guess destroys the proteins that the virus uses. Do you guys know anything about it? I never clicked on
mRNA.
Facebook like information link that they put on every single post that mentions anything about COVID. But
Let's just come to the PRL podcast to find out the answers.
your medical
we're
advice.
We're here to give out medical advice off
Yeah.
of pure assumptions and assertions. So
Yeah.
this is what the people are here for. They want to hear what I have to say about medicine.
Do your own research,
As
not
Babs
what
always says,
not what
we
I
are a
heard.
comedy podcast.
From what I
I
can
don't
tell,
actually advocate committing tax fraud. I just wear a funny shirt that says so.
I love it. Barney's telling everyone commit tax fraud. It's amazing. I went like 3 of their shirts.
I'll get you the link, dude.
Give me the link. Link it up.
What were you saying, Dave?
So it looks like the Johnson & Johnson jab is the one that's like the old tech, and the Moderna and the AstraZeneca are the mRNA, which is kind of, it tricks your body into thinking that you're going to get the virus, or that it's always on the lookout for it. So it's always making protein. Is that right? Is that?
I heard
No,
that they
right.
get rid of the protein that it needs. I have no idea, but
Everything I know is it completely scrambles your DNA, and eventually in a few years you'll just like turn to mush.
Well, technically the mRNA doesn't really meet the definition of vaccine.
Kidding.
That's
Okay.
different. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I mean, it could.
Yeah. But now they're saying we need booster shots every 6 months or something like that.
That's the big pharma I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
come back next year, baby. We need you to keep coming.
Gotta
When
keep
was the last time they gave you a cure for something? $29.99 for the cure for X. No.
Well, that's what I think. A lot of times you have to ask yourself when something like this happens, like who's making money off of this? Like who's really stands to benefit? I didn't pay for this thing. None of us did. I know the government bought 8 gazillion vaccines from Big Pharma, so they're the ones really profiting from this. And
Dude, they made $53 billion this year, and I think they've paid out $3 billion in the history of the company. So they really got their, like risk management locked. They're doing all right.
And
so yeah,
I've heard you can't sue either the government or the pharmaceutical companies if you have a adverse effect or adverse reactions, or it doesn't work. I mean, it's insane. It's like, here's a product that you're going to get whether you want it or not, and it might work and it might not, and it might make you worse. You could have adverse effects, but
and
you
you're
can't
the only
sue
one.
anybody.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work and it really messes you up, you have no recourse.
Hold on,
Right.
Alex is tuning in from Twitter and says the mRNA shot activates the 5G towers.
I actually just went to YouTube. I was like, okay, I want to see if they took this video down yet. And I was like, no. So I left a comment and said, yep, we're still here. Still here.
Okay.
Yep.
Look at this. Otto
All
on
right.
YouTube.
Well, I
Inception.
think we are ultimately. This is probably going to get deleted, and all of us are going to get banned from social media forever.
And
Kyle,
Fred
you'll probably get
Vlogs.
another FBI agent come to your door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
they
Kyle
really,
just invite him in for coffee again.
and that's the other thing that's really creepy about this. There's no conversations not allowed, dissent's
Nope.
not allowed, nothing is allowed, no discussion is allowed, or you're getting removed. I mean, Rand Paul got kicked off of like YouTube. Dr. Drew's been removed from YouTube. These are prominent people that they should have a right to discuss.
You listen to Adam and Drew still, right?
Oh yeah,
So what's their kind of position on this?
Adam Adam doesn't use any kind of like hygiene products. He like bathes in his pool. You might expect he is unvaccinated, and I don't think he has any intention of ever getting any vaccine. He's good with his immune system. Drew thinks it's ridiculous that people that have the antibodies are still being required to get vaccinated. He's like, it's a waste of time, ineffective, and potentially dangerous. subjecting them to a risk that they don't need to be subjected to. So, but he's not allowed to say that. And then they talk about a lot of alternative cures, not cures, but medications that have helped, treatments. Yeah. And so that's why Drew was taken down. He was discussing treatments on YouTube, and for some reason they weren't allowing that. So there's a culture of censorship instead of like an open dialogue and discussion. It's sort of like you need to shut your mouth, wear your mask, take your vaccine, and shut the F up. You know what I mean? It just, there's no dialogue being allowed, which really makes you second guess what they're telling you. Even more so. You're like, I think.
It kind of seems like it's,
Your voice kind of went out there.
Yeah. Well, so like when Trump became president, right? All of a sudden, I feel like there was this push, and it's been happening for years, but like really there's been this push for like divisive media and just like trying to split people apart, right? Like it was the point where it was like, it used to be like, okay, I'm voting for Bush in the election, you're voting for Gore, like, yeah, we hate the other person's candidates, but it wasn't like a personal, it wasn't like this is beyond the moral pale for you to vote for this other person that I disagree with, right? It wasn't that divisive. But with Trump, we saw that it was like, if you vote for Trump, like, you're a horrible person. I'm not inviting you to Thanksgiving dinner. Like, you're excommunicated.
It got very personal.
It got very personal. And then so like that's kind of over now, and it almost feels like they're turning the COVID thing into that, where it's like, you hear stories of like celebrities that are like excommunicating their friends. Like, who was it? Like the chick from Friends.
Yeah.
Right? I keep seeing articles
Aniston? Was it Jennifer?
Yeah, Jennifer
Aniston.
Like,
yeah.
I saw that.
Some article about her like not talking to any of her friends that are unvaccinated anymore.
Yeah. Don't need them in my life.
It's like I see in like some of the normie chats I'm in where it's like that's how they're behaving about this. It's not just like, well, I disagree with this person. I think they should get vaccinated, but whatever. It's my friend, like whatever. Like it's that same mentality from the Trump era has been like repackaged and is now in this thing that's going on. At least that's just something I've noticed. I'm not saying, I don't know if it's like,
I think social media is the common denominator. There.
Yeah.
Well, I think it really curated that. It's what helped. I mean, the media does, obviously. That's what we consume on social media, right? But like that's what, man, they know. Let's get the algorithms. Let's find out what they hate. Let's split them up this way, because if they're whatever, like the 99%, right? Then they're all kind of together. But if you get that up, but yeah, man, I don't think that they could have. This COVID lockdown stuff couldn't have happened without social media. You couldn't have done it like the lockstep stuff and everybody getting alerts and everybody getting it in real time. Like, you couldn't have done this on a global scale without social media. So yeah, dude, we'll get more of that, I'm sure.
I don't think it's orchestrated. I think social media just creates a platform for different groups to really go to battle, and for people to pick a camp and say, this is my camp, and that you're not in my camp. And whatever issue it is, we get divided on it, and we form camps, and we just argue. I think it's organic. Now I could be wrong, but I just...
Does it allow you to like maybe be more of a dick than you would to somebody like in real?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel that too. Like when I'm engaging with a-holes on the internet.
Well, that's what the internet gives you.
On Facebook anymore, though. They'll flag you for bullying.
Well, but that's orchestrated though, right? I mean, they don't really want us to be, I mean, you can watch. I think that's sick. They ban you for 30 days and they let you do nothing except look. Like, they want you to know what you're missing. Like, my business is attached to Facebook now. Like, I didn't see this coming 10, 12 years ago. But man, everybody gets attached. You become like dependent on it. I got my podcast there, now my business there, my personal page, and every memory I've ever had since I was, whatever. So they know now you need them.
Yeah.
And it's sick, dude. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's also there are two things on that. It's pretty Orwellian, where like they make you look at the thing like this was your disapproved opinion. We need you to see what you did, and we need you to delete it if you want to continue. And then, but even going back to what you were saying about the internet and just kind of in itself and social media in particular, it's like it gives everyone an opportunity to hear your inner monologue. Because you don't see these people face to face. So it's easy just to like, I don't know these two people talking, but like, wow, this guy sounds like such a bitch. Like it gives you the opportunity to say what you think. And in polite society, you would be in front of someone and there would be consequences. Like, oh, I might piss this guy off, or oh, I might like get like shit on, or oh, they might kick me out of this establishment, or whatever, whatever the consequences may be. You wouldn't necessarily have said that 50 years ago, to someone, but now you can just like look at these thirsty guys who are like, look at these girls online. They're like, oh baby, I'd hit that so hard. And you're like, wow, that's like your daughter's friends page. And you're saying that, like, that's creepy, dude.
Well, no one had a platform before. You didn't know what anyone else thought. You just knew you had the newspaper or you had radio. So you were just hearing, certain opinions from like the big three networks or whatever. And as things have really expanded, there became more and more news networks. But now it's like everybody has a voice. Literally everybody has a voice. And, we're all out there in this sort of digital sphere voicing our opinions. And that's where I think you're getting these sort of camps formed, these tribes formed.
Yeah. It just sucks that this is the public square now. Like people don't hit the streets. So you don't get your First Amendment rights here. That's the problem. So,
right.
If everybody's on Facebook to communicate, they can just decide, I've spent, I think 8 or 9 out of the past like 10 months banned off, just 30 days at a time on Facebook.
Wow.
Dude, I get a couple weeks on and then I type GFY and they tell me that I'm bullying somebody.
What are you doing? Just GFY?
Mostly it's bullying stuff, but like, mostly just like, arguing with people online. And I don't know.
You need to work on your put downs, right? So it needs to be a little more Victorian or something like that.
This is the way.
You sir should go fillet yourself, something like that. Like
Right. I need to work on my passive aggression.
Right?
Yeah,
no,
like
you can. It's
go choke on a pine
aggression.
cone. Is that?
But it's got to be like, you know what I mean? Like,
is it the algorithm or is it the people reporting you?
Most of the time for me, it's the algorithm because it's instant. Like it's just if you do something, we've noticed.
Wow. So if I go and like tell Phil to GFY, I'm just going to instantly get banned.
Oh yeah, especially if you tag him. Yeah, if you like address it to somebody. They hate that.
Okay.
I have, knock on wood.
That would be dead naming, so that would also be bigotry. So
I have not been banned, not been censored. I post all the time. Knock on wood. But my strategy is I'm just extremely careful with what I say, and if I want to insult somebody, I do it subtle. You know what I mean?
But who has been visited by the FBI in this panel of 4 people?
Yes, but that was different. That was different. That wasn't about me. That was somebody else was threatening law enforcement underneath of my comment. They thought maybe I knew the individual.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, this is like OG days. This is like 2017, right? 2016.
Yeah, probably about then. But anyway,
I was worried they were gonna come for me too.
You were really worried with Jared too, when he told us about that. You were like, really? Like you were just so like worried, like, oh my god, are they gonna come to me? Are they gonna find me now?
Well, I was like, and then I like was hiding like stuff in my house that I was concerned about.
Yeah.
The FBI shows up. Like I don't want them to be like.
Well, you don't have to ask him in for coffee, like Kyle did.
I found it interesting. Like, people had threatened me so many times on social media, but law enforcement doesn't show up until they get threatened. I was like, all right, guys, who are you really protecting here? You know what I mean? Like, what about the death threats I get on a regular basis?
That's the thing. You never complained. And it's the same with Facebook. Like, I don't make complaints when people say shit about, it's the person who says, he said this, it's the snitch that always sending the cops.
They take threats against law enforcement quite seriously, but
what would they do?
Everybody else can go screw themselves, right? Yeah.
Any threats you make against law enforcement on this show are purely satirical.
Right? Yeah, because I know one guy. I know he's kind of, I would say, new to the Facebook. He's in our Facebook group I moderate. I won't specify what, But I don't know. You guys see what's going on in Australia? They're bringing out the troops to enforce the lockdowns and curfews and shit. They're bringing out the military. The military's on the streets now with the police arresting people and like just completely like raids and.
Wait, I thought
like,
Australia completely
crazy.
eradicated the virus. What happened?
One person died. An old man died, and they literally shut down the millions of people because one person died. An old man.
I heard, Phil, I don't know if you, or Otto, I don't know if you heard this, but in Maryland, they just ended the state of emergency.
Yes, expired.
We've been in a state of emergency for like 580 days or something like that. I was like, that's not an emergency. Like an emergency is like immediate. You know, the aliens are coming. They're landing. We got to like batten down the hatches right now. But you can't be in a state of emergency for, a year and a half. Come on.
I think PA changed their law so that it could only go for maybe 60 days and they'd have to like re-vote on it or something like that. Because we're still in one. So
even if it's a true emergency, you don't even really have time to vote on it. And I don't know, just the whole calling this an emergency. I was like, we're just learning how to live with this virus. You know what I mean? It's not an emergency.
It's not. That just means let's give the governor carte blanche to make some mandates rule by fiat. That's what
I agree. I agree. I think it's just an excuse for them to pass stuff that otherwise they wouldn't be able to pass and do things they wouldn't normally be able to do.
Yep. I'm sure they love it. Let's streamline this democracy.
Let's just stay in this state of emergency forever. All this stuff is so like 1984, but anyway.
It's creepy. We're getting a level of creep. And so going back to what I was saying before, this guy, one of my friends, he commented, he was like, "Oh man, I totally support cop killers in Australia." And I was like, "You mean in Minecraft? You misspelled Minecraft. Like Minecraft. We don't say that in this group."
Yeah,
trying to get us report.
Yeah.
But no. So you gotta definitely have to watch what you'd say.
Well,
but
what was it like? Pete Quinones said on Twitter, he was like, "It would be really unfortunate if." And then he said something like something fucking crazy.
Oh God, Pete. Oh boy. I love Pete, but he's a crazy asshole sometimes.
Yeah.
How would you categorize him? Is he a Trump guy? Is he a right wing guy, or is he like
Quinones? He's now, what is he, a post-libertarian now, right?
I don't. He posted. Yeah, I hate it too. He posted something that said like, "Are you an agorist? Are you an anarchist? Are you?" It's a bunch of stuff, and he just responded back to it, "Yes." So I don't know I think he's mostly a guy that these days. He says stuff just to piss people off.
What libertarian isn't an agorist at heart? Like who doesn't pay taxes when they don't have to, and who doesn't go to the farmer's market instead of the other? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Do these guys not drive around in cars with license plates on them and pay federal income tax? They all do. You know what I'm saying? They're philosophically something, and that's great. But don't fucking shit on people who are doing, I don't know.
Yeah, working. Like Sal the agorist, he's constantly like Jack Lloyd, what the fuck? God damn it, not Jack Lloyd. I like Jack Lloyd.
He's a good dude.
Twitter. What's it? Oh, Twitter. God, fuck.
Sal the agorist.
No, the founder of Twitter. What the fuck's his name?
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey. Thank you. So it was like Jack Dorsey did more for libertarianism than anything the Mises Caucus could ever do. Because for people who weren't checking it out, literally out of nowhere on Friday night, he posted a link to the Mises Institute for Anatomy of the State.
Yeah.
And that's all he posted.
It's awesome.
And I'm like, whoa. And then Rothbard was trending on Twitter that day.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then he also posted a graph that brought back to, because this is the 50th anniversary today of the Bretton Woods agreement ending. So he also posted a graph of that. So like what happened in 1971. And it's just like, what is this guy doing? Like, it's like, what? Like,
yeah,
he's going down a rabbit hole, apparently.
I hope, but
it's exciting, right? I think it's a reason to be excited. Perhaps a little bit cautious, I guess. It's Jack Dorsey, billionaire, big tech guy. But at the same time, like you said, dude, Rothbard was trending. Anatomy of the State was the #2 book on Amazon yesterday. Like, these are all good things, no matter how you shake it. And it pisses me off when a lowercase L libertarian wants to shit on that. Vin Armani too. Why are you guys
that
shitting
guy.
on? I know.
Yeah, I saw people shitting on it where it was like, I mean, it was a meme, so you know, you can only take a meme with a grain of salt, but like, it was kind of like saying like, it was contrasting like the censorship that goes on in Twitter with like that. It was like that best I can do meme with the pawn shop guy. He's like,
oh, that was the funniest shit ever.
it was like best
I'm
I can
looking at it
do
right
is
here.
like post a random.
It
link
says
to
when you the top of it says when you just want free speech somewhere on the internet, and it shows picture. Someone superimposed Jack's face onto the guy from Pawn Stars. It says best I can do is link to Rothbard and confuse the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
But honestly, though, if you've been following Jack and his Bitcoin stuff, like I'm not that surprised by. I mean, I guess posting Rothbard maybe, but like
I didn't think it would connect that.
But like the Bretton Woods stuff, like that's like he's obviously coming at like it sounds like he's coming at this from a very like from the sound money perspective.
And
I think that kind of confirms
it.
What's that?
He liked the Mises Caucus Twitter page
right.
months ago.
He did.
He's been looking for whatever reason.
I mean,
He's
that's
going down the rabbit hole, guys.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And to comment on like the censorship thing, while he is like the CEO, I kind of
anymore.
I feel like it's kind of out of his hand. I'm not like letting him off the hook, but I am.
Is he like Zuckerberg, where he still has control, or he doesn't have any control?
He doesn't. He does.
I don't
not have
think he has any
this.
control. Like I don't know what his like. I don't know what his like board position is. Is it a couple percent?
That's what I heard.
It's not Zuckerberg who I think has like a majority share. I don't have the docs on any of this, by the way, but
that's awesome, dude. So Jack liked the Mises Caucus, so he's gonna be like hating Jewish people like any day now. It's gonna be so cool. He's gonna also be a total homophobe. Wow, I can't wait.
Maybe he'll donate $100 million to Dave Smith's 2024 campaign. Bring it, Jack.
Rock. What? That's a challenge. It's the money.
I mean, the fact that he liked the account is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, how many accounts does the guy like actually like?
I don't know.
I guess I could look that up.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we are literally on the internet right now.
Or we could just speculate.
Yeah. Let's just go.
It's got to be within the hundreds. I think he likes a couple hundred pages.
I mean, that's
he likes only the Mises Caucus and punk rock libertarians.
Yeah.
How's the page doing, Phil? Is it still up?
Oh hell yeah! I just checked just to make sure. But now we can't share. Okay, so what we used to kind of go back, break the fourth wall here. I used to be able to share this podcast on other pages. Like I could share it from Maryland Libertarians. I could share it from Punk Rock Homesteaders. If it pleases the crown, so on. Like you used to be able to do that, but now Facebook took that option away from me.
Oh, okay.
So,
as a punishment or just as a
just took it away. Just technical. They just took it away. I checked it on the website and on my phone on the app, and it won't let me do it anymore. It'll let me share it to groups, but that's it.
Yeah.
So sucks. But no, the page is going strong. Instagram's going strong. We just crossed the 13,800 mile mark today.
Okay.
So we're doing good.
Jack follows 4,425 people.
Oh wow.
Ew.
A lot of them, I'm like looking at them. A lot of them are like Bitcoin guys.
That's awesome.
Like big Bitcoin Twitter guys.
Which is
not surprising, but
my Bitcoin just came out again today. I bought more, so I'm good, man.
You bought more, and you immediately lost it in the river.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was unfortunate part.
In that unfortunate boating accident.
I gotta get the license from Kyle to learn how to be on a boat, so I don't keep losing all of my weapons and Bitcoin and shit. It sucks.
Yeah. It just swallows it up.
Kyle was doing statism on a lake this week.
I got my boater's license.
Stayed on the lake.
So let's talk about. So how about this? I'll talk about that more on the After Hours podcast. Mm-hmm. And you may be thinking to yourself, "Wow, there's an After Hours podcast," and I would tell you, yes, there is an After Hours podcast. And then your next question was, well, how do I listen to such podcasts? Well, that's a great question, and it deserves a great answer. So if you go over to our Patreon and you sign up for as little as $1 a month, you get to listen to our After Hours podcast and all the After Hours podcasts, our whole entire back catalog. Please check it out. We got different tiers and stuff. And one of the tiers, you give us $10 a month, you get the t-shirt Kyle Wagner is currently wearing right now, which is awesome. I caught that, the punk rock libertarian shirt. So please go over and help us out. And if you don't want to use Patreon, you hate Patreon for whatever reason, you can go to prlfans.com and find out other ways to donate to the show. Send Bitcoin, because we always take Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of t-shirts, we have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. If you use the code PRL or PRL Podcast, you get yourself a 10% discount. But if you want to spend $50 or more, which I know you will, you use the code PRL2 and get a 20% discount off your total order. Also, new sponsor, Dave. So do you want to remind the good people what you told us before in the beginning part if they weren't listening?
Yeah, please check out the website. It's www.wheelies pharmacy with an F. We're going to get Punk Rock Libertarians established with a 10% off code, and we'll match that to the podcast so that they can put some change.
Right. So don't buy anything now until you get the code.
Yeah, wait on that. It'll be a day or two.
No, yeah, that's cool, man. I'm happy to have you aboard. It's a great product. I know, dude, CBD has helped out plenty of people, maybe even myself included, hypothetically. So yeah, no, it's awesome. Glad to have you on board. I
appreciate it.
So speaking of other sponsors we have, we are also sponsored tonight by Hidden in Plain Sight by Moral Bob. So go check out that podcast. And until next time, everybody, live free
Or die.